This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
Today's video is brought to you by the game Raid: Shadow Legends. There's a lot of talk from the other side about Donald Trump's taxes and how wily or smart he is relative to not paying them. The tax returns that we've received and the reporting from the New York Times years ago revealed that there were years where he paid $750 personally, $750 in taxes. Multiple years. That's it. And then when the tax returns were released by the House Ways and Means Committee, we learned that not only did Donald Trump not pay taxes in 2020, I believe, he got a refund of millions of dollars. And on the campaign trail in 2016 and subsequent to that, Donald Trump has said, well, that makes me smart. Not paying taxes makes me smart. You're a rube if you pay more taxes than you should. And there's some truth to that you don't want to pay more than what you owe. But we're learning now, after the conviction of his company, a criminal conviction of the Trump Organization, that he criminally evaded taxes, and he got the maximum penalty, which is a joke, $1.6 million. But it goes to where Trump's head is relative to paying taxes, even personally. And my bet would be that if they actually do an audit of his taxes, they will find the same level of malfeasance personally in his taxes than they found with his business. And there could be a criminal conviction. Now, the other part of this, and we're going to get to it at the end here, is this is a paltry sum of money to levy as a fine against an organization that entered into a criminal conspiracy, a scheme to defraud the government and by virtue of that, the people of New York in not paying taxes and funding the government, funding the benefits that are offered by our government through taxes. So defrauding the citizens. I'm going to read just a brief amount from this New York Times article, sum it up. But before I do, a word from today's sponsor, Raid: Shadow Legends. Now look, I don't take myself seriously all the time. Rarely, actually. I'm often goofing around in the kitchen. I'm always up for a game of poker. Or you can regularly find me on the couch in front of a movie. Over the holidays, though, I was assaulted by a new leisure activity, Raid: Shadow Legends. Have you played this game? Over 80 million people are playing this hit mobile RPG, and it's also available on PC. To kick off 2023, there is a Raid update with tons of features. There's a new season of the Forge Pass for your artificers, plus the Plarium Points program, where you can earn in-game goodies, including a legendary champion. And let's talk champions. Along with nearly 700 of them, Raid has added a super cool new faction called the Sylvan Watchers, which include wild forest elves, some freaky tree spirits, and even some living rock monsters. Raid has a new legendary champion, MMA and pro wrestling megastar Ronda Rousey. Get Ronda by simply opening Raid in the 7 days before February 20th, then use promo code RAIDRONDA to access handy in-game items to level her up. And in preparation for Raid's 4th anniversary, Raid is launching a humongous 4th anniversary Titan event where you can earn anniversary points by competing in special themed events. The rewards are truly titanic. Don't miss it. It's time to storm your fun. Raid: Shadow Legends delivers near limitless content plus new champions and game updates every single month. And it's free. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to access new players and grab a free starter pack with this cool in-game loot. Like me, you could become a Shadow Legend today. So let's get into this. It's a victory, and we should look at it as that. This is a criminal conviction of the Trump Organization. Alan Weisselberg, the longtime CFO of the organization, working with the government. This is a win. It's just not the magnitude that I would like to see, and I would bet you would like to see. The headline here, Trump's company gets maximum punishment for evading taxes. The Trump Organization must pay $1.6 million for giving executive off-the-books benefits and pay. Ex-President Donald Trump's family real estate business was ordered on Friday to pay a $1.6 million criminal penalty for its conviction of felony tax fraud and other charges. A stinging rebuke, come on, slap on the wrist, and the maximum possible punishment. And that's really one of the elements I want to talk about today, is the fact that we need a sea change in our country relative to the punishments and the consequence for business versus the little guy. If you've got money and you've got access to lawyers and you've got access to creative accountants, there's little risk involved in felony tax fraud. However, if you're the little guy and you make a mistake on your taxes, it could bury you financially in fees and interest and penalties. But if you're a rich billionaire like Donnie Boy, 1.6 million, who cares? The sentence handed down by a judge in the state Supreme Court in Manhattan caps a lengthy legal ordeal for Mr. Trump's company, the Trump Organization, which was convicted in December of doling out off-the-books perks to some of its top executives. One of the executives who orchestrated the scheme, Alan Weisselberg, pleaded guilty and testified at the company's trial. He was sentenced on Tuesday to serve 5 months at the notorious Rikers Island jail complex. The financial penalty is a pittance to the company and the ex-president, who collected hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue each year while in office. But the verdict branded the company a lawbreaker, exposed a culture that nurtured illegality for years, and handed political ammunition to Mr. Trump's opponents. Prosecutors also continued to press a criminal investigation against the man himself, and they should. But here's the problem that I have with this pittance, as the New York Times called it, is that, but the verdict branded the company a lawbreaker, exposed a culture that nurtured illegality for years, and it's a $1.6 million fine. How is this going to deter other wrongdoers? How is this going to deter Donald Trump from doing it again? The Trump Organization's lawyers on Friday sought a smaller penalty, pinning the blame, of course, they're blaming someone else, pinning the blame on an outside accounting firm, Mazars USA, which they said should have halted the wrongdoing. That is very telling. Yeah, we did the wrong thing, but our accountant should have stopped us. That's classic Donald Trump. In another part of this article that I'm not going to read, his defense attorneys were saying that the DA doesn't understand tax law. He's just ignorant of tax laws. Anyway, they also blame Mr. Weisselberg, who they said carried out the scheme without intending to benefit the Trump Organization. But Joshua Seinglass, a prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, argued that the company carried out a multi-dimensional scheme to defraud the tax authorities. To avoid detection, they simply falsified the records, he explained. This conduct can only be described as egregious, adding that although the maximum fines may have limited impact on the corporation, this court should nonetheless impose the fines. Of course they should impose the fines. If you do the crime, you do the time, even if the time is monumentally insufficient. The judge overseeing the case, Juan Merchan, agreed imposing the maximum $1.61 million fine. Quote, this is from the judge. These are arguments that were made throughout the trial, Justice Merchan said about the defense's contention that Mazars and Mr. Weisselberg were to blame. This is not, from the justice, this is not what the evidence has shown, and it is certainly not what the jury found. So here we are. Here we are. Donald Trump, guilty, yet effectively off the hook. Yeah, it's a black mark, and yeah, it's a win, but what damage did it do? What deterrent factor will it have on him moving forward, his behavior moving forward, and the behavior of people like him? What needs to happen is a comprehensive audit of his personal taxes. Because if he went to this length with his company, you know he's doing it. It's just rational and reasonable to assume he did it personally. But the rich get richer. The rich defraud the government. The rich don't pay their fair share. They don't carry their weight. And the little guys, the working class and the poor, they pay the freight for jackasses like Donald Trump. I'd love to know what you think. You can call, leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. Follow me on social media. I'd love to see you there. I'm at Dollemore on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. And if you want to support my work, if you choose to support my work, click the join button below. You can become a partner right here on YouTube, helping produce what I do for $1.99 a month, or you can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Slowly, we're getting there, but we're getting there nonetheless. Take care of one another. And as always, be genuine.